So welcome. My name is James Kruger, and I'm here. We're doing a series of videos throughout the year of 2021 on different aspects of self-reliance. And today's topic will be on personal finances. I have with me Mark Kennison, who's a financial professional. Why do you think that finances would be included under self-reliance?
Yeah, finances are a huge part of self-reliance. Because it takes money to live. And it's so easy to let money become a problem if we get into debt, if we don't control our spending. And so it can cause a lot of problems in our marriages. It can cause problems with creditors, which causes issues with just being at peace, feeling stressed, feeling unhappy, and really which prevents you from feeling the Spirit. If you have financial problems, it's tough to feel the Spirit.
So since we're talking about stress, and you mentioned marriage, how does financial stress impact marriage that you've seen either in studies or what the church has told us or your own personal experience?
Yeah, it really can cause issues if two people aren't on the same page and aren't working together to try and control their finances. It can really create a lot of stress. And it's common that in a marriage, one person is more involved in the finances and the money and the other person's not. It's really rare that I've seen a couple come in where they're both really interested in it. It's usually one or the other, and that's okay. But they still need to be on the same page when it comes to their spending and what they're doing with their money. Here's a great quote from Marvin J Ashton, I think kind of relates to this. It says, "In the home, money management between husband and wife should be on a partnership basis, with both parties having a voice in decision and policy making. Management of family finances should be mutual between husband and wife in an attitude of openness and trust. Control of the money by one spouse as a source of power and authority causes inequality in the marriage and is inappropriate. Conversely, if a marriage partner voluntarily removes himself or herself entirely from the financial management, this is an abdication of necessary responsibility." So, it's we need to be on the same page with our spouse and not just be wildly shopping online, obviously. And even though one spouse might be more involved in the budgeting and the finances, both of them need to be involved to some degree, and purposely not being involved or ignoring it is just not good for the family. Most people don't like to budget. Budgeting, the word budget's kind of a bad word for most people. They don't want to hear about it. And I don't think you need to budget to the penny. I don't think you need to know where every penny or every dollar goes. But you've got to be able to control the spending enough to where you're spending less than you bring in. You gotta have less going out than what's coming in, or it just doesn't work. Okay. So on this budget sheet, I've just tried to include a lot of things that typically we spend money on, like your mortgage or rent. Maybe you have a second mortgage, HOA dues, credit cards. Hopefully you don't have credit card payments, but a lot of people do. Student loans, insurance, food, utilities. You'll see there's I've tried to think of just about everything that you might spend money on, and there's one category I put in here that I call mad money. And I think it's important for us to have a little mad money spending for both husband and wife, just a certain amount of money that you can just blow on whatever, and it doesn't matter. So like I said, you don't necessarily have to track everything to the penny, but this is very helpful to make sure that you don't overspend, but also that you're planning for things that you are going to spend money on down the road, like Christmas or gifts to people or college education for the kids. But you're going to spend money on Christmas gifts, so budget a little money each month, set it aside, and that way you'll know you'll have it for Christmas and not have to go to credit cards. You can move that into a separate savings account at the bank, whatever it is, if it's $50, $100, whatever works for your family and your budget. So figuring out a budget is really the easy part. Just figuring out how much money you have coming in and how much is going out. That's pretty easy. Anybody can fill out a spreadsheet, write down what you're planning to spend. The hard part about budgeting is actually tracking it and controlling your spending so that you don't go over in those categories. And with everything being digital today, everybody pays with debit cards and credit cards for everything. Not very many people use cash. There are some great budgeting apps out there most of them are free that you can use. Just do a Google search for best budgeting apps. And many of them will let you connect your bank accounts to them, like Mint, for example, is one that I've used. And it will automatically track your spending and categorize it. And you can set up a budget in the app. And then at any time, just click on it and see how you're doing it on following your budget for the month. So that's a great way to just remove that barrier of tracking your spending throughout the month, and you and your spouse can share that and keep you on the same page together that way. So one area of budgeting I think is tough for people is online shopping and spending, like on Amazon, for example. It used to be if you wanted to go shopping, you had to go to the mall or go to a bunch of stores, find stuff. It might take you half a day. Now we just get on our phones, and within seconds or a few minutes you can find anything you want, and boom, it's your card's in there. It just goes on your credit card or debit card. And that's a tough thing. That it's just so easy. It makes it tough to limit and control your spending. So, and that's something that if you're using one of these apps, it's not necessarily going to categorize that expense into clothing or food or home goods or whatever. So you're going to have to do some recategorizing of some of those expenses. But it's definitely something to work on together as a husband and wife, and make sure you're on the same page before you buy things. And Amazon is so easy; it can be tough. But
one other question, kind of related to that: how often do you check the tool in a month? Like if you're constantly
budgeting app,
buying things online, maybe you don't pay attention to it, and you look at the end of the month and like, oh wow, where'd it go?
Yes, that's a great question. So. For a budget to work, you need to be checking in with it frequently. I would say at least weekly, and it'd be great to sit down weekly and review it as a couple, because if you wait till the end of the month, then the month's over, the money's gone, and you may not know where it went. So I think a quick weekly check-in is great, and shouldn't take too much time. So if you are struggling with credit card debt, this is a huge thing that a budget can help you eliminate, because if you're able to control your spending by budgeting your money and tracking your spending, you should have some extra money at the end of each month that you can apply towards paying down your credit card debt. And if you don't already listen to Dave Ramsey, I think he's great. His whole thing is on getting out of debt and paying down debt. So he calls his process the debt snowball. One for the money teaches the same exact process of paying down your smallest loan balance first, and then applying that payment to the next loan balance. And so your payment snowballs over time, gets bigger and bigger as you start to wipe your debts out. It's really an effective way to pay down debt.
Well, Mark, we really thank you for your time today in going over financial and how it relates to self-reliance. And just want to thank you for your input, your advice, and your expertise.
Thank you. I hope this is helpful for somebody.